This is Tenzin Seldon and welcome to Tibet This Week, a weekly news on Tibet, His Holiness the Dalai Lama and Central Tibetan Administration. Let's look at the headlines. His Holiness the Dalai Lama says middle way approach is a realistic option to preserve Tibet's culture. His Holiness the Dalai Lama condoles the demise of former President of South Africa, FWD Klerk. His Holiness the Dalai Lama grants a virtual audience to Sikyong, Penpa, Tsering and the 3 Kalons. Sikyong takes charge as Kalon of 4 departments of Central Tibetan Administration. Central Tibetan Administration holds conferences of settlement officers and agriculture cooperatives. Justice Commissioner Karma Dadul is the Pro-tem Chief Justice Commissioner. Tibetan delegates participate in COP26 UN Climate Summit. Permanent Strategy Committee holds first meeting. Representatives of offices of Tibet engage in book launch, talk on Tibet and visit to Buddhist center. 17th Tibetan Parliament to begin next sessions in March 2022. On Wednesday this week, His Holiness the Dalai Lama gave a talk on compassion and love. His Holiness re-emphasized the need to combine modern education with ancient Indian knowledge on training of mind in order to make a significant contribution to knowledge on this planet. While answering a question from the audience, His Holiness the Dalai Lama mentioned that the middle way approach is a realistic option for the Tibetans to preserve Tibet's culture.
I lost my own country, freedom, lot of destruction. But then, whether can overcome these problems, thinking, try my sort of approach regarding Tibet, middle way approach. Not so out of anger or Tibetan independence like that. So we should, Chinese also, human brothers, sisters, and traditionally Buddhist country. So nowadays, more and more Chinese now really showing interest about Buddhism. So, my middle way approach is we remain part of People's Republic of China. At the same time, our unique cultural heritage must preserve. And eventually in that, even millions of Chinese also get benefit.
The virtual talk session was organized by the National Institute of Disaster Management. His Holiness offered deep condolences to the family of late former President of South Africa, FWD Klerk, last Friday. In his condolence message, His Holiness remembered the late former President as a man of principle who worked relentlessly for the rights of every individual in order to achieve peace and harmony in society. Tibetan spiritual leader His Holiness the Dalai Lama granted a virtual audience to Sikyong, Penpa, Tsering and the 3 Kalons of the 16th Kashak on Friday this week. During the hour-long virtual meeting, His Holiness the Dalai Lama spoke on the importance of preserving the Tibetan language and culture and the need for building an altruistic society based on virtues like compassion and warm-heartedness. I try to make a concerted effort to promote peace in the world, drawing from the wisdoms of ancient Indian knowledge, and it's important that everyone also follow suit, His Holiness urged Sikyong and his 3 cabinet members. Sikyong, Penpa, Tsering and the 3 Kalons, Kalon Tharlam Doma Changra of Education Department, Kalon Dolma Gyari of Security Department, and Kalon Norzin Dolma of Department of Information and International Relations briefed His Holiness the Dalai Lama of their respective portfolios and also spoke of their future endeavors. Sikyong Penpa Tsering, while expressing his profound faith and gratitude to His Holiness the Dalai Lama for his leadership, lamented that he and the 3 members of his cabinet remain steadfast in their resolve to act on the visions and advice of His Holiness. The virtual meeting today with His Holiness is the 4th for Sikyong Penpa Tsering since taking over the executive leadership of Central Tibetan Administration in May this year. It is the first for the 3 Kalons who were sworn in on Wednesday last week. With the appointment of the 3 new Kalons or cabinet ministers for Education Department, Security Department and Department of Information and International Relations, last Thursday Sikyong Penpa Tsering has taken an additional charge with immediate effect as the Kalon for the Department of Religion and Culture, Home, Finance and Health. Department of Home hosted the 8th Agriculture and Cooperative Conference and the 14th Administrative Conference of the Tibetan Settlement Officers. Sikyong Penpa Tsering attended the concluding session of the 3-day Administrative Conference of the Tibetan settlements along with other dignitaries of Central Tibetan Administration. The Agriculture and Cooperative Conference that was held after a gap of 14 years was attended by 18 agricultural-based Tibetan settlements in India, Nepal and Bhutan and 15 Tibetan cooperatives in India. Following the official announcement of Chief Justice Commissioner Sonam Norbu Thakpo's retirement, Justice Commissioner Karma Dadul has taken charge as the acting Chief Justice Commissioner from Monday this week. The former Chief Justice Commissioner Sonam Norbu Thakpo has served for a period of 40 years in capacities within the exiled Tibetan community. A team of Tibetan environmentalists had successfully participated in the COP26 UN Climate Summit in Glasgow in highlighting Tibet's ecological importance and current environmental challenges in Tibet. They also discussed how China's occupation of Tibet is worsening its environmental crisis and the measures being taken by the activists inside and outside Tibet to fight the environmental degradation. Along with a strong COP26 Tibet team, a large number of Tibetan community of United Kingdom also joined with a huge number of protesters at People's March demanding climate justice for Tibet. The Permanent Strategy Committee of Central Tibetan Administration held its first meeting on Tuesday this week in Dharamshala. The meeting was held for 3 days. Presided by Sikyong Penpa Tsering, the meeting deliberated on programs and objectives of the new committee. Although an internal meeting of the Permanent Strategy Committee was held earlier, this is the first meeting of the committee in which all the members and the advisors are in attendance. The new Permanent Strategy Committee was established following the 16th Kashak's dissolution of the previous task force on Sino-Tibetan negotiations. Representatives of Office of Tibet Washington DC, Office of Tibet Moscow and Office of Tibet London took part in various events including book launch, visit to cultural center and talks on Tibet. Representative Ngodup Tsering and Secretary Tashi Thundup of Office of Tibet Washington DC attended the 4th annual Day and Deepavali celebration on Sunday last week. The event was organized by the American Hindu Coalition headed by Shri Tiwari and Ambassador Kapoor. On behalf of the Office of Tibet Washington DC, the Chinese liaison officer Tsultrim Gyatso on Saturday last week attended the book launch of noted Chinese scholar Hu Ping. Hu Ping's new book deals with issues of democracy and demographic changes in China. Honorary Representative Telo Tulku Rinpoche of Moscow's Office of Tibet visited various Buddhist centers to get an assessment of the developments and to collect information on the requirements and to resolve their challenges. Rinpoche also visited Moscow Buddhist Society and the complex of the former Rurich Museum, a place where the very first Buddhist stupa was built in the late 1990s. Office of Tibet London and the Tibetan community in Britain hosted a talk titled Introduction to Tibetan Environment and Climate Change to Tibetan Students and Youth in the UK to provide them with an opportunity to hear from the 4 Tibetan climate researchers and advocates during Glasgow COP26. The speakers include Ms. Dechen Palmo, Research Fellow at Tibet Policy Institute, Central Tibetan Administration, Ms. Tenzin Chuki, Senior Researcher at the Tibet Watch, Ms. Lobsang Yangso, Research and Campaign Assistant at International Tibet Network, and Ms. Pema Dolma, Campaign Director of Student for Free Tibet. According to the official announcement issued by the Parliamentary Secretariat on Monday this week, the 17th Tibetan Parliament will hold its second session from 14th March to 18th March 2022 for 5 days and third session from 21st March to 31st March 2022 for 10 days. So much for today. See you next time and have a great weekend.